Yesterday, I was way too soft in the player ratings, way too forgiving on the Forest players. I will not be making that mistake again today. And West Ham fans, you can enjoy this video all you want, but just remember, it's now Moyes in. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this, hope you're okay. And welcome to your in-depth analysis for West Ham 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Deja vu, same crap, fortnight in, fortnight out when it comes to Forest going away from home. This is now turning into Houghton 2.0. It's pathetic. Those players are pathetic. The management was pathetic. They need to have a good, hard look at themselves, because why is it takes 30,000 people to motivate them to play forward at the City Ground? And even then, some people would argue we've been quite lucky at home. This is going to be your in-depth analysis. I was way too soft to them in the player ratings. I didn't have the energy to repeat the same thing again and again. I feel like I'm a goddamn broken record. But today I've slept on it and I feel a lot worse about yesterday. They've angered me even more because it's so pathetic and so predictable and so shameful, and they're still going to go there and collect their paychecks every other week when they do that away from home. This is going to get under the skin of it. So for all you happy clappers, this isn't the video for you. There's plenty of other YouTube Forest channels you can go and watch and clap away there. But for you guys who want to understand what happened and why this is so pathetic, then carry on and stay tuned. It's probably going to be a long video. It always is. But let's get into it. And let's talk about Houghton 2.0. Okay, one more thing I want to say before we jump into the analysis is I don't want to see any comments saying, yeah, but we're Premier League, remember where we were this time last season, blah, etc., etc. That's not the point of it. We are in the Premier League. Remember now what it needs to be to stay in the Premier League, and stop reflecting back on what happened last year and how we did the miracle last year. That's in the past. Let it go and start looking forward and not backwards, because things have to change on the pitch and they have to change now. And I'm going to start by showing you guys our away form. I'm going to start by going through these heat maps and start to see the pattern. This is how pathetic we are. This is the game against Newcastle. Don't worry, behind the logo, there's no possession. This was the heat map against Newcastle. We can get into their half. There is splatters of touches that happened in there. Let's move on. Let's see the progression on our away form throughout the season. Let's go to Everton. Everton just about started to get in the box. You can see some light blue touches there. Still not good. Let's go to Grimsby in the Cup. Grimsby, where we won 3-0. Their box is completely empty of touches as well. And then, of course, there's Man City. Man City, we barely got into their half, let alone into their box. And let's go to the shambles that was Leicester. Look, again, another familiar pattern, an empty opposition box. They don't even need to bother to play with the keeper half the time. Wolves, same again. Are you starting to see the pattern? Brighton didn't even bother playing. I mean, what's the point in playing attackers if we're so defensively minded? Let's keep going. Arsenal, fantastic there. Brilliant, brilliant. A couple of touches in the box, almost a light green area towards that right-hand side. Let's bring Southampton up. Southampton, bottom of the league. Southampton, when we went to them, and we're barely getting into their box. Look how much crap is going on in our half. Most of the play is here. It's just infuriating. Let's keep going against Manchester United. A couple more touches in the box, a couple more progressions into their half. But the goal area, look at the shape of all these goal areas. They are not touched. And then Boring Mouth, the crappiest team in the country. We got a bit more in their box, as you can see there. If I move my head, it's still absolutely pathetic. And then finally, I don't know, I'm going to show you Fulham. I'm going to have to move the camera. 1 second. Let's just shuffle the camera across. Would you just goddamn move? Seriously. And that's Fulham for you. Absolutely nothing but a couple of specks of touches in there. That, guys, is our away performances so far this season. Can someone show me where this so-called progression is, this so-called gelling that we were expecting after the World Cup? Where is it? It's pathetic, the defensive, negative mind we approach these games with. The plan is so simple. It's so clear to see. It's let's low block football the whole game, and maybe we get a counter attack, and maybe we can break away and get one goal. That's the plan. That's the plan. The problem with that plan is when the opposition score, there is no new plan to suddenly get more attacking. It's just such one-dimensional, small thinking football that it doesn't work away from home in the Premier League. You can't just low block your way to results. The points table says so. 6 points away from home. We've scored half as many goals as we have points away from home. Let that sink in. We are rock bottom of the away form table. It's pathetic. Everyone keeps telling me it's the home form that's amazing. It's the home form where we're playing our best football. It's not. It really isn't. We've been getting lucky, and the results, I'll give it, the results have been fantastic. And I even said plenty of time on the fight and desire in there. But still, when you look at it tactically, we cannot progress up the pitch. Again, I'll just show you the heat maps which tell you everything. There's West Ham. We barely get a touch in their box. Spurs is the only one, because Spurs are just as negative as Nottingham Forest. Spurs is the biggest time we've seen us in the box. And guess what? We lost. Then we got Boring Mouth. Even against Boring Mouth at home, we weren't getting in the box. And then Fulham, we're not getting in the box. The funny thing is, everyone was saying to me, yeah, this is why we've had to switch from playing, two in the middle and what have you, because we were playing too aggressive. We were playing too much attacking football. What attacking football? What attacking football were we playing? We were just so disjointed at the back that nothing was working at the back or the front. And then we went into low block football. So then we had Villa. Again, nothing in their box. Remember, this is at the City Ground. Then Liverpool came, which we won. Again, it's different for Liverpool. I'll grant it for the top 6 teams. It's fine. But there's the heat map for that. Brentford then come to Forest, and we're able to score 2 goals because we had to push in the second half because we'd messed it up so much from being 1-0 up. We had a little bit more action in their box. Let's move on to Palace. Some down the right-hand side. Overall, even though we won that game, we're not getting into their box. It was low block football there. And then Chelsea, basically, let me move the mic, bloody hell. Basically, a bit more in their box because we were chasing the game at home. So we saw a little bit, but still nothing significant there. And then Leicester, where we won 2-0, we're still not getting into the box. Leeds, there, nothing. And obviously, Man City, you don't even need to see it. I mean, there's a quick glance at it. We're just in our half, trust me on that one. So even when people are saying we're playing better at home, we're not attacking. I'm now talking about attacking versus low block. I am sick to the back teeth of this goddamn low block football. And I grant it against the big teams. I praised them last week against Man City. Steve Cooper's tactics, he's just blanketed it against every single team now that, play low block football. And then once it comes across a top 4 or a top 6 team, it looks fine because you're expected to play that way. But when you go away from home to a crappy West Ham team, a team that is on the verge of sacking their manager, we've just got to flick them over the edge. A team that is so dysfunctional and so disjointed and sitting in the relegation zone when we face them. And what is the tactics? Let's low block our way out of that. So this is just a prelude to getting into the West Ham game. So let me know your thoughts on these heat maps. Okay, so let's have a look at the 2 teams' heat maps from yesterday getting to the West Ham game. And shock horror, there's no sustained darkness in that West Ham half. Once we get to about here, it's like a brick wall comes up and we're like, return to sender. We don't know what we're doing. Look at it. This whole space, the middle's been given up. There's nothing even in the channels getting down towards the byline. A little speck here. so I think that was probably Tuffalo's shot last minute of the game. Nothing at all in that box. And it's not like West Ham were peppering our box either. They were just as poor. In fact, West Ham was so poor that for the first time, Forest have had more touches in a match than an opposition team. The problem was all those touches were sideways passes, Freuler, Worrell, sideways, or long punted balls across the field to no man. There's no idea. There's no identity when it comes to playing football with Forest away from home. They haven't got a clue. Pass it between the two centre-backs, then Felipe looks for a long cross-field ball. Pass it into Shelvey, he's got no one free and available. Why? Because we're playing with three defensively minded CMs in essence. When you're bringing Colback on, don't get me started. When you're bringing Shelvey on, who plays well, don't get me wrong, he's good. He plays well as a deep-lying midfielder. And then you've got Freuler on, who just wants to pass it sideways at the moment. Where is the progression? There was a couple of times in the match when Morgan Gibbs-White got forward and was surrounded by 4 or 5 West Ham shirts. It was the same with Brennan Johnson, because that midfield does not know how to step up because they're so defensively minded. They don't know how to counterattack, and it becomes moments FC. It becomes a bit of magic from Jono or a bit of magic from MG Dub. That's what we're relying on away from home. The problem is, if you just sit back time and time again, you will concede. And Forest reverted back to their old school ways yesterday with the Tesco FC buy one, get two free in those stupid 7 minutes that they played. But that's the heat map. Shock horror looks no different to any others, yet at the same time, West Ham's heat map is just as bad. Okay, let's get into these goals. I'm only going to go through the first 3 because it's just infuriating. Everything about this is the same crap. And what I'll start with is this. Whoever has argued against me about how crap Worrell is and how crap Williams are, I mean, he's still arguing. And there was people telling me to apologize as well about Wood because he scored a 2-yarder last week. Honestly, the flip-flop stuff on the fans is fine. But seriously, look at yourselves first before you start accusing others around you. Anyway, here we go on this goal. Now, we've already lost, we've just lost Shelvey, should I say. So there's a massive gap here, you can see, where we'd have had another body. But outside of that, the positioning is still okay. You got the flat 4 in line. And this is where it gets pathetic. There's only 1, 2, 3 West Ham players. And I think that's actually Surridge there, warming up off the pitch. But there's only 3 players that, in total, 6 Forest players need to worry about. But this is Forest away from home. Ball comes in. Now Bowen comes in and you can see here Colback is ushering Loddy to go across and cover that space there in case he goes for the overlapping run. He's going to cover it there. Fine, good to see some communication. What you'll start to notice is that it's the first time you see Nico Williams look behind him. Worrell constantly ball watching. Felipe in a good position here, covering the West Ham player, and Freuler getting back into a good position. Now, this is where the problems start. As Bowen comes at Colback needs to understand that Loddy's there covering behind him. He has to go in and challenge. He did this against the Man City goal last week, but apparently Colback deserves a start according to certain people. He does not go into tackles, and when he does, he usually fouls someone anyway. So then what happens is Bowen just literally just dances around him under no pressure, under no issue, under no nothing. And by the way, just keep an eye on Drew Worrell here, fully ball watching. Not a clue where Danny Ings is. In fact, the last time he had a look was over here. And you can see he's looking across here to see what's going on. At no point does he know where Danny Ings is. At any point during this play. I'd be shocked if he did. But anyway, let's move it back to where we were. So now he's going to dance past Colback. Was this the right screen? Yeah, there we go. And what's happened is, you can see the statues. I mean, these two suddenly got themselves into a mix. A little Brazilian love fest going there. And there's this nice, easy channel. There's literally only one place that Bowen can play that ball. And it's into that channel there. And Worrell is still ball watching. He has no clue that Ings is there. Not even a shout from, what's-his-face, Williams, nothing. So Williams really should cover the statue here by coming in a bit to go tight on Danny Ings. But nothing. And then the ball comes through, and it's at this point, he's still not aware. He's still not aware of Ings being in behind him. And the ball's going to come through. He's got to get there. He's got to get there. He really does. He doesn't. And then now is the first time he's turned his head and he sees Danny Ings and he gets that front row seat into seeing the ball hit the back of the net. And that's goal one. It's a crap show across all the players. But really, the lack of ball watching, Colback should have closed down because he had cover behind him. I literally teach this to the under 12s, man. One of you press while the other covers. If someone's covering you, press. If not, hold them back until someone comes into cover. He had the cover. He was communicating with Lodi and still didn't go in and press. And Bowen's just able to dance around him. Let's move on to the second goal. For months, I've been complaining about Nico Williams' lack of physicality, and it shows yet again here. He has pace, he can't cross a ball, and he can't shoot. I don't really know what he's offering the team right now, but we haven't got a choice because obviously Aurier is out. Anyway, he comes in like a bull in a Chinese store, charging in at Paqueta here with one thing on his mind. Now, Paqueta is West Ham's only decent player, in my opinion. The only player I would take from their team into ours would be Paqueta. Probably a right back right now as well. But anyway, all Paqueta has to do, he senses Nico Williams coming. He's just going to flick it over his head. And it's not even the greatest flick you'll ever see. He's going to just loop it around like that because he gets too much height on it. Now, this is the point I'm making about Nico Williams' lack of physicality. He's in front of Paqueta. There's no way Paqueta should be getting around him. In fact, Nico Williams, the ball's here, by the way, if you guys were wondering, it's just blending into the kit with Freuler there. He even gets the first touch on the ball. As you can see here, the ball's on his thigh there. But he still isn't physically capable enough to hold off Paqueta. And Paqueta ends up getting around him. Now, you can start to see Joe Worrell. Let's just rewind. Yeah, that's the first scene of Joe Worrell here. You can see Joe Worrell's doing what Joe Worrell does best in his ball watching. And his body shape is completely incorrect. He needs to be kind of more rotated, if you see what I mean, left foot round and facing the play, because now he's going to cross his legs over and that's just defensive suicide. And then what happens? Just keep watching Joe Worrell in this play. I mean, Nico Williams is done. Joe Worrell is just insistent on ball watching here. Body shape completely the wrong way around. And you can start to see there's a nice gap here for the West Ham player. Look at the difference in this, though. If you look in this scene, Joe Worrell's ball watching. Felipe is looking this way into this player. Felipe knows where the players are, so he knows how to take up position. That's the difference between the two centre-backs. Well, one of the differences, should I say. Anyway, let's run it forward. Again, Joe Worrell looking the wrong way. Now what he's going to do, he's going to start to pirouette, but only once the ball is passed. He's still backtracking. What he should have done here was play if he was facing the right way. If he knew, I think that's Ben Rahma there, that Ben Rahma was there, he should have closed in on that so he could close off the channel, the passing lane. It's just pathetic defending. Move it forward again. He still has no clue. There's that space there, just nice and wide open. He's still facing the wrong way. And now he's done a bit of a pirouette. So now it's because the ball has passed. He's tracking the movement of the ball and he's turned like that. And that's when he's realized, oh crap, there's a West Ham player there. Now his body shape is too flat-footed. Look how straight he is there. He's in that bench shape as well. It's not a good position at all. And there's this nice gap in between the two centre-backs. Now what's happened is Felipe has noticed what's going on. He's going to have to drop Danny Ings and come across to cover Joe Worrell's crappy defending. So what you'll see here is Felipe comes across. The thing is, Joe Worrell can't even turn and accelerate quick enough to recover from it. And I'm pretty sure it's Ben Rahma just fires through to the extent that Joe Worrell's like, Felipe, save me. I'll leave you out of this one. So Felipe starts to get physical with him and starts to show him on the outside there. Now, again, Joe Worrell, what does he do? Absolutely nothing, because he's continued to ball watch. What he should be doing is getting himself here into the channel, just in case, because if Ben Rahma shoots there, potentially if the ball gets carried, if he shoots near post and it gets carried back into play, he needs to be there to clean up. You can see that Lodi is trying to cover the second runner here with Danny Ings. Joe Worrell still ball watching there. Anyway, let's move that forward to the next bit. Felipe slides in to block the pass off. You can see the huge gap left here in this channel. To be honest, Lodi needs to turn his ass around as well now because when he tries to clear it off the line, he's off balance completely. But Joe Worrell has to be right here holding up. This goal is so preventable if he just read the game and he put himself into that position, because Felipe's had to go across to cover him. It's left a hole. It's left a complete mess. And that's exactly what happens. It comes across. Felipe is the wrong way around. Again, he should be turned around facing that. He could have probably got a block on that as well. And the ball goes in, and that's goal number 2. Okay, let's move on to goal number 3. And again, this again is on Cooper because he's taken out one of the midfielders. Shelby could have potentially been there. West Ham, if you can see the West Ham player that's down there, they got a quick free kick and they took it. And you can see here, Colback, I think that's Lingard and Freuler, all bunched up on this side of the pitch. There is no midfield over here, already pathetic from the midfield. And plus they were playing in that 2 with Colback and Freuler, completely out of shape, completely out of position. Once Shelby went off, this game turned to absolute crap. I mean, it wasn't a great spectacle before it, but the low block was kind of holding West Ham out. But again, the defensive line, not the worst. They're in unison. You got Harry Tuffalo on here now as well. Harry Tuffalo, Felipe, and of course, Joe Worrell. Anyway, let's run it forward and let's have a look at this shit show as well. So in this position, again, let me draw to your attention for Forest players, but now West Ham have the overload because the midfielders are struggling to get back in. They've got, in effect, 2 players in between the lines here in Rice and Paqueta, and then you got Bowen out here who's been noticed by no one. Of course, if we go on Joe Worrell alert, there you go. He's just ball watching his way there. Now, in effect, this becomes his man because of the midfield mess up. The initial mess up wasn't from Joe Worrell. It's the fact that West Ham took that quick free kick. Let's roll it forward. He goes out to meet Rice, and he actually does the right thing here. He holds him up. But what Rice will do here is play the ball out wide into the channel, and then watch what happens. The panic begins from Joe Worrell. Once the ball's gone out into that channel, he's going to try and get himself into here to cover for Nico Williams, because it's clear to see he doesn't trust Nico Williams as much as I do. Or should I say, as little as I do. So he's going to come in here to cover it. And what's that going to do? That's going to free Declan Rice completely. So what happens here, as you can see, he's come in to cover the space. Now Freuler's going to start to get across to cover that hole in Declan Rice. But then he will overcommit, which is just stupid from him as well. Now, Worrell's gone too deep and he's ended up doing neither here nor there. He's behind, what's his face? Williams covering him because he's scared. Now, Freuler becomes at fault here. In fact, you know what? I'm being harsh on Worrell there. He's actually in the right position just in case of there. The problem now becomes Freuler. Freuler is ball watching. He's gone into Worrell mode. What he has to do, there's enough cover here with Worrell there, Williams there, and Felipe there, that he has to block this channel pass, man. He's got to make sure the passing channel is not on. But he, for some reason, ends up ball watching. Now, not only that, he then overcommits and brings himself all the way across to help Williams out. Maybe he doesn't trust Williams either. I don't know. And then this leaves that huge gap over here for Declan Rice to operate in. And as per normal with Nottingham Forest, if the team wants to score outside the box, shoot and we will grant you the space. There he is about to line it up. Now Freuler panics. And then as he goes to close it down, it's a bit like, it's deja vu from the Man City goal last week. It's too late. It's the emergency stick a boot out and hope for the best. And that ball's going into the top corner. Navas, no chance on it. The defending is atrocious. It's atrocious. And the thing is, it's schoolboy errors over and over again from pretty much the same individuals. It just blows your goddamn mind. Look, I'm sure West Ham fans are watching this and enjoying it, but I'll remind them of 2 things. They were enjoying the victory they had over Everton the other week. But look what happened there. Moyes stayed in and you dropped further down the table. And let me remind the West Ham fans that we're still looking down at you on the table. Just because this is happening away from home, for whatever reason, at home, we're still doing okay. So, enjoying Moyes in for the West Ham fans. But from a Forest fans perspective, I've got to ask you guys, are you not sick of this style of football? Are you not sick of this defended negative style? And, you know, I could go into the substitutions. Are you coming on? I couldn't even figure out what he had done, what formation was going on when I was doing it in the watch along. But that's a whole other debate. Maybe we'll do that in the live stream if I can even be bothered to do one tonight. I'll speak to the boys. But are you happy with this defensive approach to every single game, be it at home or away? I've proven it to you with all the heat maps. I've run you through them all. At some point, Cooper has to realise we're a Premier League team. And at some point, he's going to have to understand to win games, you need to score goals. You can't just rely on low block and pray for a miracle of a Moments FC goal from a Johnson or an MGW, because both of them were ineffective yesterday. And if they're ineffective, then there is no source of goals as well. And then finally, what the hell Scarpa got to do to get on this pitch? We have to have a midfield that has some form of progression and creativity. You can't just slap three central midfielders, well, defensively minded central midfielders in, because all it's going to do is isolate the attackers. And then don't even get me started on Wood. Look, we'll get into all the players and specifics on the live stream, but I had to get this crap off my chest. It's an appalling performance. It's Houghton Football 2.0. There's nothing more, and no one can argue with that fact. That's exactly what it is. It reminds me of it to the T. Anyway, let me know what you think. We'll probably do a stream tonight. I've just had to get that off my chest, and we'll catch up with you then. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Come on, you Reds.